This video is going to cover everything we did in class today on Monday, May 3rd or Tuesday, May 4th if you're in period 5. The first thing that we're going to go over is actually the do now. This was a request. Some people wanted to review exactly how we found the area of a trapezoid. So on the PSSA, you will see that you have formulas for how to find the area of a trapezoid or a bunch of other shapes. And if you scroll in, you can see that the formula for the area of a trapezoid, this tiny little a right here means area, is 1/2 h. When the number and letter are hugging, it means times. So 1/2 times h times the two bases added together. So let's write that out a little bit bigger so we can see it more clearly. We know that we need to multiply 1/2 times h times base 1 plus base 2. So all I need to do to find the area of this specific trapezoid is figure out what my bases are. So I know that base 1 and 2 are 14 and 11. And I'm going to replace h with my height. So that's 6. And I'll have to multiply all of that times 1/2 because that's in the formula. So I know that I need to add first because my addition is in parentheses. So I'm adding 14 plus 11, that is 25. And then all I need to do to find my answer is multiply 6 times 25 times 1/2. I would definitely recommend using a calculator for that. 6 times 25 is equal to 150, and half of 150, or 1/2 times 150, is 75. We're talking about area in inches, so it's 75 square inches. Perfect. And if you want extra practice finding the area of trapezoids, I recommend heading to Freckle and checking out the adaptive practice on geometry. So once we reviewed geometry as our PSSA Do Now review, we headed to a test review today. We've been working on a few different things in class. We've been talking about solving equations, and those equations have involved whole numbers, decimals, and fractions. We've been talking about representing a real-world situation with an equation, then using it to find an unknown number. And those are some of the things that we're going to review today, amongst a few other topics. The first thing we talked about was substitution and reviewing how it is that we substitute expressions. In some classes, you might have done this slide in Desmos, and in other classes, we played quizzes. But either way, the point of the conversation is the same. When I have an expression like x plus 4, and I know what x is, so for example here, x is 3, I can simply replace the x. So I'm going to rewrite the expression with the number. Instead of x, I wrote 3. 3 plus 4 equals, of course, 7. Now in the second example, I have 7 minus x, but instead of 7 minus x, x is 3. So 7 minus 3, that's equal to 4. In the next example, I have 2x. Now remember, when a letter and a number are hugging, it's 2 times x. But again, we know what x is. X is 3. So we have 2 times 3, which is 6. And then in this question, we've got 3 over 3 because we replaced the x with the 3. And 3 over 3 is actually the same thing as 3 divided by 3. Or you might just know that because we have the same numerator and denominator, that is equal to 1. So the takeaway from this part of class is that when we know the value of x, all we need to do is go to our expression and replace x with whatever number we know it's equal to. The last thing I want to review in this video is something that we did last class and some classes had a chance to review. It was a question that looked like this. This is the learning target for today. Let's go back to it for a second. Representing a real-world situation using an equation and then using it to find an unknown number. So for example, Let's say that Diego has 3 times as many books. I'm going to stick with highlighting 3 times as many books as Han. If Diego has 6 books, how many does, if Han has 6 books, how many does Diego have? Well, this is more simple than it looks, right? We know that Han has 6 books. This is Han's book. And we know that Diego has 3 times as many. So we just multiply 6 books times 3. That's equal to the number of books Diego has, 18. And again, this 6 books is how many Han has. We know that Diego has 3 times as many. Now, question B says, if Han has n comic books, Diego has blank. We know that no matter how many books Han has, if we just took some number of books, however many books Han has, and we multiply that number, however many books Han has, times 3, that will always tell us how many books Diego has. And the reason why is because Han has 1/3 as many books as Diego, or Diego has 3 times as many books as Han. In this part of the question, they're telling us that Han has n books. So in other words, instead of writing this equation as Han's books times 3, n is just a placeholder for the mystery number of books that Han has. N times 3 will tell us how many books Diego has. Now we know that in the algebra world, we've been entering. Instead of writing n times 3, we can write 3n. And that simply means multiplication. You might see a question on the test that we're taking on Thursday and Friday that says, what if n equals 9? And this would just mean that Han has 9 books. This is the same exact thing as that table that we went over in the first part of the video. Here, when we knew what x was, we knew that x was 3, and so we put 3 into our equation. 3, 3, 3, and 3. Here, it's just in the context of a real-world situation, right? We know that n is 9. We know that Diego has 3 times n comic books. So if n equals 9, Diego has 3 times 9 books, 27 books. And that's for Diego. So the second video underneath this one will explain the independent practice for today. It's the choice board. Click on that next so that you're able to follow along and figure out what to do to make up today's classwork.